Tonight's Powerball jackpot is $1.20 billion. I've been studying the inner workings of the lottery industry for 5 years. AMA about lottery psychology, the lottery business, odds, and how destructive lotteries can be. Hi. I'm Adam Molis, Proof, co-founder of Yada, a company that pays out cash prizes on savings via a lottery-like system, based on a concept called prize-linked savings. I've been studying lotteries, Powerball, Mega Millions, scratch-off tickets, you name it, for the past 5 years and was so appalled by what I learned I decided to start a company to crush the lottery. I've studied countless datasets and spoken first-hand with people inside the lottery industry, from the marketers who create advertising to the government officials who lobby for its existence, to the convenience store owners who sell lottery tickets, to consumers standing in line buying tickets. There are some wild stats out there. In 2021, Americans spent $105 billion on lottery tickets. That is more than the total spending on music, books, sports teams, movies, and video games, combined. 40% of Americans can't come up with $400 for an emergency, while the average household spends over $640 every year on the lottery, and you're more likely to be crushed by a meteorite than win the Powerball jackpot. Ask me anything about lottery odds, lottery psychology, the business of the lottery, how it all works behind the scenes, and why the lottery is so destructive to society. If the purpose of Yada is to use lottery psychology for good, why have you historically indulged in practices that seem to exploit those mechanics for your own benefit to the detriment of Yada customers, particularly crypto buckets, which pushed users toward uninsured deposits by offering additional tickets over the FDIC insured deposits, and the Hot Pot promotion, which tanked the APY for every single user but one lucky winner? Now that you've gotten rid of crypto buckets and ended the Hot Pot promotion, how can we trust you to not go back to exploitative schemes the next time they look like a good way to make yourselves a quick buck? Are you ever going to make it easy to track our actual realized APY over time, ideally on a monthly, annual, and all-time basis, so we can see what we're actually earning with Yada versus what we could be earning elsewhere? The app only shows the current month-to-date plus last month's APY, and I literally can't find the info on the website at all. Why should I keep more than a token deposit at Yada, for one ticket per week, same as the regular lottery, when real HYSAs are offering 3% plus APY? Can you explain why the odds are less than being crushed by a meteorite when someone will likely win soon but we don't hear about people getting crushed by meteors? Is this a media thing and there's more meteor deaths than we realize? So it's kind of a headline thing. It's mainly based on probability of a meteor hitting Earth and killing a large number of people in a given year. It never really happens, but probabilistically, because it could wipe out a huge number of people, you are more likely to die that way. I haven't audited the data behind this, but that's the idea. Watch out when you cross the street next time. I think you are misinterpreting. What I believe OP is saying is that although you don't hear of people getting hit by meteors, if one hits it could kill a huge amount of people. Say there's a 1 in 1 million chance that a meteor hits the Earth in your lifetime, and it kills 1 billion people. With 7 billion people on Earth, it means the chance of you getting killed by a meteor is 1/7 1 millionth 1/7 millionth, which is a higher chance than any given number hitting the Powerball. Something like that. I think people are missing the meat of your question here. So someone worked out a probability that you have a 1 in 700,000 chance of being killed by a meteor. Your Powerball odds are a 1 in 200 plus million. So the meteor is more likely, right? That seems weird. The thing is, the meteor probability is calculating that risk over your entire life. You have a 1 in 700,000 chance of being killed by a meteor in your lifetime. The Powerball probability is that the one number you have will match the drawing that is happening on Wednesday. Millions of people are buying multiple tickets and the drawing happens 3 times a week. The probability is being tested millions of times each week. Week after week. Year after year. Imagine a stack of all the millions of lottery tickets for tonight's drawing sitting in front of you. Go in, grab one at random. Did you pick the right one? Almost certainly not. Now imagine 50 million people all going in and grabbing one. Even though each person's chances are very low, so many people are doing it that eventually one hits. And maybe no one hits this time, but we'll try again on Friday. Check that against the chance that Sometime in the next 50 years you'll be vacationing in Europe and a big space rock will land and take out half of France, and it starts to seem more plausible. There was a fascinating article in The New Yorker recently that described the history of the lottery in different societies being used to prop up wars and overspending governments going back to the Roman era. I think it mentioned that the money brought into local governments from the lottery is often earmarked for a specific cause such as education in order to keep its popularity up, even though it often goes elsewhere or does not cover much of the education spending need. Is there a resource where we can see state by state where the lottery money is going to? Edit. Found the article. Link. It's not that the money doesn't go the specific cause that is listed, it often does. The issue is that the money from other sources that would normally go to that cause are now taken away from it and sent elsewhere as the lottery money takes its place. Basically it's an exploitative selective tax. Edit. I got some facts wrong below. The funds were spent badly, but it wasn't as sneaky as I remembered. I remember hearing about a man that worked at a university library and bequeathed all his assets to the university when he died. Apparently he was very frugal and invested well, and it was over $1 million. His one condition was that the money be used to fund the library. So, the university happily took the donation, slashed the library budget as much as possible, and bought a new football scoreboard. Yes, every state publishes this. See link for an example. If you use the easy pick option, are you more likely to get a duplicate ticket to someone else using the same method? No, these systems are all well audited and secure. It's truly random. Is there a way to calculate just how big of an ass I would be if I were to win the $1.20 billion jackpot? Yes. Ask your friends and they will know the answer. How do you plan to crush lottery? We offer a way to win a life-changing amount of money via a lottery-like system in a savings account. We want to give people the feeling of the lottery in a healthy way. Hopefully we can become as big as Premium Bonds in the UK, which has over $100 billion in deposits. It's a lofty goal to crush the lottery, but I really hate the negative impact it has on society. Using your money to make loans to others. It's how traditional banks work, but instead of giving everyone a 0.33% APR rate on their savings, they combine it and give away a larger chunk as winnings of a lottery amongst members. Americans spent $105 billion on lottery tickets. That is more than the total spending on music, books, sports teams, movies, and video games, combined. 40% of Americans can't come up with $400 for an emergency, while the average household spends over $640 every year on the lottery. What percentage of households play at all? And what percentage are putting in huge amounts to offset them? I'd guess the median is far less than the mean here. Is there data on how the spending breaks down on demographic lines like income and race? What percentage is being spent on scratchers versus local drawn games versus national ones like Powerball and Mega Millions? About 50% of adults play at least once a year. Median is definitely well below the mean, but not sure what it is. A lot of this data is survey-based. Across incomes, on an absolute basis, lottery spent are similar, so for lower income it's a much higher of income. My dad used to buy a full-year plan, 2 plays in each weekly lotto. This was back in the 80s. He played a combo of birthdays and anniversary dates and was afraid he'd miss a week and he'd find out later his numbers won. Do they still offer that? He'd never checked the numbers, just kept his fingers crossed a check would show up. He used to say that when a check would come in it was a crazy rush, anticipating how big it might be. Largest one he ever got was for second lowest payout, never covered his purchase price, but he loved those few times he had an unopened envelope that might be the big one. How do I win? Don't play. Is there any notable difference in winning for those who pick their own numbers versus those who have the machine generate them? No difference other than you don't want to pick numbers that other people might pick since you want to reduce your chances of splitting the prize. Do you play the lottery? I have maybe 3 times in the past when the jackpot gets really massive, but I don't anymore. I consider it entertainment. The fun had pretend planning and what we would do, knowing we won't win, is worth the couple for me. To me it's an easy feel-good for $2. I can sit there thinking about all the things I would like to do, Plan out upgrades to my house, people I would want to help, vacations to take, how I would change my work ethic and overall goals, etc. This right here. $2 for the occasional fantasy is a pretty good cost-benefit piece of entertainment. So how destructive is the lottery compared to other gambling games? General rule of thumb: the bigger the jackpot, the more they can get you in with that number, and the worse the expected value for the consumer. All gambling games are different, but the Powerball and Mega Millions are likely to be the worst when their jackpots haven't ballooned. If the jackpots are massive like tonight, then their EV is much higher. Another note: lotteries and scratch-offs are monopolized by the government. There is no competition, so these games are way worse than casino games on an expected value basis. On the flip side, it's easier for people to sit at a blackjack or roulette table all day long and lose more money. Would you be willing to lie to me and tell me that one of my 3 tickets will win? I have a good feeling about your tickets tonight. Why are most winners bankrupt in a couple of years? Or is this a myth? Of 100 winners, how many are broke after 5 years? It's not a myth. It's similar in nature to why people who all of a sudden earn a ton of money go broke. A lot of athletes too. Friends and family come asking you to buy them things, invest in their businesses, and it's hard to say no. People spend excessively on crazy stuff. We need better financial education. The annuity option would help people with creating discipline in spending, but almost everyone takes the lump sum. How heavily taxed are lottery earnings? What kinds of numbers could be taxed on a pool like we have at the moment? If you won the jackpot, you'd be taxed at the top marginal tax bracket, so around 37% federal plus state and local on top of that. What if I am a church? You just go ahead and do whatever the fuck you want then. U.S. government. What do you think the Church of Latter-day Saints does? Why does the lottery even exist? Was it created to fund other things? Not sure I understand why they even did this in the first place. The people running it make way more than they pay out. Like everything, I would have been started to make profit. If 1,000 people buy a ticket for $5 each and the winner gets $4,000, then you've made $1,000. As more and more people play, the prizes can grow. Many lotteries fund government programs. In Georgia, the lottery funds college scholarships. It paid for a lot of my undergrad. Link. Not sure how it works in GA, but in Florida it funds schools, too. Except what that really means is they slash the school budgets in an appropriate amount so that it makes up for it. Yeah, because a lot of the value from the lotteries come from the biggest prize. When the jackpot is higher, the expected value of your winnings and ticket is higher. It's a better gamble at that point because prizes are bigger. However, if too many people play, you also are more likely to split that big prize with more people. So it works both ways, but on net, the bigger the jackpot the better the value, assuming the game has the same odds. No reason why the scanners shouldn't be 100% accurate. Never seen an issue there. The lottery is run by the state governments around the U.S. Powerball and Mega Millions specifically are multi-state lotteries, but there are around 7 states that don't offer them. Lotteries are illegal for private companies to run, so the government owns it, I suppose. About half the lottery proceeds go to paying winners. The other half goes to overhead, around 6% go to the stores that sell tickets, 10% go towards general admin and overhead to run the games, and then you've got a big chunk of the remainder of that half that goes to state government revenues to fund government programs.